let's talk about that moment when your twin flame connection stops feeling like a cosmic hurricane and starts resembling, well, an actual relationship. You know the phase. The heart palpitations have quieted. The obsessive thoughts have dialed down from a scream to a murmur. And suddenly, you're left wondering, did the magic disappear or did I just get used to it? The twin flame journey isn't a straight line from spark to union. It's a spiral, looping through cycles of chaos and calm, intensity and integration. That soul-shaking, can't breathe without them feeling. It was never meant to last forever. Its job was to rupture your old life, to crack you open so wide that healing and eventual wholeness could pour in. But now you're in the messy middle where the fireworks have fizzled and what's left is something quieter, deeper, and infinitely more confusing. Is this growth or detachment, evolution or erosion? And why does no one warn you that the most disorienting part of the journey isn't the meeting or the separation, but the after? This reading isn't about convincing you the connection is real. You already know that in your bones. It's about decoding the hidden purpose behind the intensity shift. Why it feels like love is fading when, in truth, it's just learning how to last. We'll strip away the spiritual cliches and dig into the real or raw, often inconvenient truths about what happens when twin flames stop burning white hot and start glowing steady. Because here's the secret. The love wasn't in the lightning. It was in what grew after the storm. You know that phase when your twin flame was all you could think about? When every song on the radio felt like a cosmic love letter, every random number was a sign, and you could swear the universe was conspiring to keep their name on your lips 24/7. Yeah, that. The kind of obsession that makes a lovesick Shakespearean sonnet look like a casual grocery list. But now, the fire doesn't burn as wild. The pull doesn't yank you off your feet. And suddenly, you're wondering, did I imagine it all? Here's the truth. You didn't. But the universe isn't in the business of letting you marinate in romantic delirium forever. That initial intensity, it's like spiritual jet fuel, powerful enough to launch you out of your old life, but not sustainable for the long haul. Think about it. If you stayed in that state of dizzying obsession, you'd never get anything done. You'd be that person staring at their phone like a lovesick Labrador, ignoring bills, friendships, and the fact that you've worn the same sweatpants for 3 days. No judgment. So what's really happening? The energy isn't fading, it's redirecting. Instead of fixating on them, you're being pushed to focus on you. The twin flame journey is less about eternal fireworks and more about spiritual demolition. That soul-shaking connection? It's a mirror, and it doesn't just show you your good side. It flashes every unhealed wound, every buried fear, every "I'll deal with that later" insecurity right in your face. And suddenly, the love story feels more like therapy with extra steps. Ever seen those nature docs where a caterpillar dissolves into goo before becoming a butterfly? Yeah, that's you right now. The obsession phase was the caterpillar. The "wait, why don't I feel as crazy anymore" phase? That's the goo. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's necessary. Because real twin flame union isn't about two broken halves clinging to each other. It's about two whole souls choosing each other. And that takes work. So no, you're not losing the magic. You're just trading the sparklers for a deeper flame. And honestly, that's where the real story begins. Okay, let's talk about the weirdest part of the twin flame journey. The part where one day you wake up and realize you don't feel them the way you used to. No heart palpitations, no obsessive thoughts, no synchronicities slapping you in the face like the universe's way of saying, "Hey dummy, they're still your person." Instead, static, silence, a strange, unsettling neutrality where there used to be fire, and now you're sitting there like, wait, did I just imagine the most intense connection of my life? Here's the thing, you didn't imagine it, but the soul doesn't operate on drama 24/7. Sometimes it hits the mute button. Why? Because feeling nothing is often just your psyche's way of saying, we need a break before we short circuit. Think about it like this. Ever binge-watched an intense TV show and then, after 5 seasons of emotional whiplash, just shut down? You're not broken, you're buffering. And twin flame connections? They're the ultimate binge-worthy drama, except the plot twists are your own trauma resurfacing, and the cliffhangers are your ego's desperate attempts to self-sabotage. This numbness isn't the end. It's the spiritual equivalent of your phone going into low power mode. You're not losing the connection. You're conserving energy for what's next. Because let's be real, if you stayed in that state of heightened sensitivity forever, you'd be a walking exposed nerve, jumping at every text notification, hallucinating their name in your coffee foam. No shame. So what's really happening? 2 possibilities. Either you're in a healing coma where your subconscious is quietly sorting through old wounds like a therapist organizing their filing cabinet, or you've hit the twin flame dark night of the soul, that fun little phase where the universe yanks the rug out from under you just to see if you'll still trust the fall. Either way, the numbness is temporary. It's not indifference, it's integration. And here's the kicker. Sometimes the connection feels gone because you've actually leveled up. The old triggers don't hit as hard. The anxious attachment fading, the desperate need for validation diminished. And now you're left in this weird, peaceful limbo where you could live without them. But you also know, deep down, you don't want to. That's not loss, that's growth. So no, you're not crazy. The love didn't vanish. It just went underground to dig a deeper foundation. And when it resurfaces, oh, it'll be stronger. Because real love isn't measured in how much it hurts, but in how quietly it stays, even when the fireworks fade. Let's get real for a second. You ever notice how your brain loves to play the worst game of telephone with your soul? 1 minute, you're floating in that cosmic certainty that your twin flame is your person, and the next, your ego slams on the brakes like a paranoid backseat driver screaming, "Wait, are we sure this isn't a scam?" Suddenly, the connection feels off. The magic's gone. You scroll through old messages like a detective, hunting for proof it was ever real. And, plot twist, your heart's got amnesia. Here's the kicker. You're not losing feelings. Your ego's just pulling a sneaky little coup. See, the twin flame journey isn't just about love, it's about surrender. And nothing terrifies the ego more than that. It's like a raccoon in a trash can, hissing at change, because to the ego, love isn't just love. It's a threat to its whole I'm in control fantasy. So what does it do? It slaps on a disguise, whispers, "This isn't special anymore," and hands you a fake receipt for emotional refund requested. Classic ego move. But let's crack this open. That lost spark you're panicking about? It's not the love fading, it's the fear rising. Twin flames mirror your deepest wounds, and when those wounds start poking through, the ego goes into full self-sabotage mode. It'll gaslight you into thinking the connection was all in your head, or worse, that you're over it. You're not. The soul doesn't do over it. The soul does, "I'll wait 1,000 lifetimes if I have to." Ever unplugged a router just to reboot it? That's what's happening here. The love didn't disconnect. Your resistance just triggered a temporary outage. And the ego? Oh, it's loving this. It's got you running diagnostics on a connection that was never broken. Like a tech support scammer convincing you your computer has a virus it doesn't. Meanwhile, your soul's over here, rolling its eyes like, "Babe, we're fine. Chill." So how do you know it's ego and not actual detachment? Easy. Real detachment feels like peace. Ego detachment feels like a sneaky, restless doubt that won't shut up. It's the difference between "I'm okay with or without them," soul truth, and "maybe I never really loved them," ego lie. One's a quiet sunset, the other's a gremlin in your brain yelling fake news. Here's the truth your ego doesn't want you to know. The moments when the connection feels gone are often the moments it's actually digging in deeper. The soul doesn't do surface level. It goes quiet to go profound. So next time your ego tries to sell you the "they're just a regular person now" narrative, laugh. Because twin flames, they're never regular. And you're not fooling anyone, least of all yourself. The love didn't go anywhere. You're just in the part of the story where the characters forget their destiny right before the plot twist reminds them. You ever notice how the best love stories aren't about the meet cute or the dramatic confession? They're about the quiet mornings years later, when the grand gestures have been replaced by the sacred mundanity of someone remembering how you take your coffee. That's the secret fourth act of the twin flame journey nobody talks about. The part where the universe stops screaming their name in your ear and starts whispering it into the marrow of your bones instead. Here's the cosmic joke. You spent months or years convinced this connection was about intensity. The can't eat, can't sleep, heart in a blender kind of love that poets write sonnets about. But now, it's softer, steadier, less like a lightning strike and more like the hum of your refrigerator. Always there, barely noticed, but God help you if it suddenly stopped working. And because we're all secretly addicted to drama, part of you is side-eyeing this piece like, wait, is this it? Did we downgrade? Let me stop you right there with a metaphor you didn't ask for. That initial twin flame intensity wasn't the love. It was the alarm clock. It had to be jarring, had to shake you awake at 3 a.m. with the subtlety of a fire alarm. Because you weren't just meeting a person. You were being introduced to a version of yourself you'd forgotten existed. But alarms aren't meant to blare forever. At some point, they turn off, and what's left? The day, the real work, the love that doesn't need to scream to be heard. This is where most twin flames panic. We've been culturally conditioned to equate love with feeling, with butterflies and urgency and proof. So when the relationship starts radiating the quiet warmth of a well-worn sweater instead of the pyrotechnics of a Broadway finale, the ego starts drafting breakup speeches. What if we're just friends now? What if the magic's gone? Meanwhile, your soul's over here, rolling its eyes so hard, it's a miracle they don't stick. Because here's the truth they don't put in spiritual memes. Unconditional love isn't a feeling, it's a state of being. It's the difference between being in love and choosing love in the course of daily practice. Those early stage fireworks, they were just the universe's way of getting your attention, like a spiritual flashbang grenade. But what comes after the smoke clears? That's the real connection, the one that doesn't need signs or synchronicities to feel valid, the one that can sit in comfortable silence without mistaking peace for boredom. And here's the kicker. This phase is where most twin flame unions actually begin. The running and chasing, the obsessive longing, that was just the audition. This right here, the unglamorous, unsexy, we've seen each other's shadow sides and didn't bolt part. This is the main act. It's not that the intensity faded, it just traded its concert pyrotechnics for the slow burn of a hearth fire, the kind that keeps you warm for decades instead of wowing you for minutes. So no, you didn't lose the spark. You graduated from spark to flame. And anyone who's ever built a fire knows the showy part isn't what keeps you alive through winter. It's the steady glow you can rely on. So here you are, standing at the edge of what you thought would be an endless fireworks display, only to find yourself holding something quieter, something that doesn't rattle your ribs or steal your breath, but hums instead, low and steady, like the pulse of an ancient river. And part of you is whispering, is this it? Did I do something wrong? Let me tell you a secret. The most profound love stories aren't the ones that explode. They're the ones that root. Think about the oldest trees in the world, the bristlecone pines that have weathered millennia, the redwoods that tower in silent patience. They didn't get that way by clinging to their sapling frenzy, all rapid growth and thirsty reach. They grew slow. They grew deep. They learned the art of endurance, of holding space through storms and droughts alike. That's what's happening to you now. The whirlwind was just the prelude. The real story is written in the rings beneath the bark, the layers only time can reveal. You've been conditioned to believe love should feel like a revolution, constant, thrilling, loud enough to drown out every doubt. But the truth, real love is more like gravity. You don't feel it holding you until you try to leave. This is the paradox of twin flames. The connection doesn't fade. It transmutes. The electricity that once jolted you awake at 3 a.m. becomes the current that powers your days. The synchronicities that used to feel like divine winks, they're still there, just woven so seamlessly into your life that you've stopped noticing them as miracles and started living them as truth. And here's the beautiful, inconvenient reality. What you're mistaking for lost intensity is actually love learning how to exist in the mundane, in the laundry piles and grocery runs, in the comfortable silence that doesn't need to be filled, in the way you can now think of them without your heart trying to claw out of your chest, not because the love diminished, but because it finally found its way home, where it doesn't need dramatics to prove it belongs. So no, this isn't the end of the magic. This is the moment it stops being a spectacle and starts being your life. The universe never promised you a love that would always feel like falling, just one that would always catch you, even when you forget you're airborne. Now the only question left is, will you miss the fireworks so much that you fail to recognize the dawn?